Roswell, 1947, there was a UAP that crashed. In fact, there were two UAP that crashed, and one flew away while the other one did not, and it was recovered by the U.S. government.
Luis Elizondo is out promoting his new book, Imminent, which I have clearly covered on the channel here. And he's got a new interview coming with Ross Coulthart on NewsNation this Friday, and they've released some clips to sort of tease us. I'm going to be playing that in this video today because you see in those clips, he brings up Roswell and specifically the number of UFOs that have crashed. Now, we're also going to get into another part of the book where he brings up the bodies of the crash and who told him, right? So we might be able to connect who told him about these UFOs. But before we get to that, did you know that Luis Elizondo has a YouTube channel? Here's a preview that he uploaded to his channel.
The feds had recently begun helping these smaller law enforcement agencies tap into larger, more sophisticated national databases, so folks on the ground could better do their jobs and maybe track down drug dealers or terrorists or spies operating within the U.S. and on tribal lands. At the time, I had a large corner office in a building the Pentagon rented in Arlington, Virginia. Among other things, the building housed various departments of Boeing Aerospace, including Phantom Works, the division that is charged with dreaming up Boeing's future technologies. My 11th floor corner office looked out at the Pentagon. In the distance, I saw the Capitol, the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, and the White House. My furnishings imbued my office with a distinctly nautical air. My family and I lived on Kent Island, Maryland, a small fishing community in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay. I entered the world in Texas, but I'm a Florida boy at heart, long drawn to the mysteries and beauty of the sea. Fishing, scuba diving, seeing the sun glinting off the waves, those were my guilty pleasures. My wife Jennifer and I tried to be on the water every weekend, if we could swing it. Since I couldn't be on Kent Island all the time, I figured I would bring Kent Island to my office.
Now, let's see this first clip from NewsNation to give us a little tease of Luis Elizondo's upcoming interview.
All right, now to a NewsNation exclusive. Former Pentagon investigator Lou Elizondo is sitting down for a one-on-one with Ross Coulthart in a primetime exclusive interview. As part of Friday night's Bombshell special report, Elizondo, who says he ran a secretive Pentagon UFO program, shares what he claims the government really knows.
You've got a book with some pretty big headlines. We've been recovering spacecraft, alien spacecraft.
The United States has been involved in the recovery of objects, vehicles of unknown origin that are neither from our country or any other foreign country that we're aware of.
Alien bodies, biologics.
We as a nation have been interested in not only the vehicles themselves, but the occupants of these vehicles to include biological specimens.
Aliens, non-human intelligences, are real and they have been engaging with humanity.
Ross, we're not alone. We are not alone in this universe, and it is a simple fact. And the U.S. government has been aware of that fact now for decades.
Well, the Pentagon is denying Elizondo's claims and has disputed what Elizondo says he did and saw. But hear all about it on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern in our NewsNation special report.
Now, let's get to the bread and butter, Roswell. Here's a clip of Ross Coulthart speaking to Luis Elizondo about the infamous crash from Roswell, New Mexico.
Roswell, 1947. What happened?
Roswell, 1947, there was a UAP that crashed. In fact, there were two UAP that crashed, and one flew away while the other one did not, and it was recovered by the U.S. government.
Allegations of a legacy UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program.
The U.S. government has had in the past and continues to have a very deep interest in UAP, to include the potential and possibilities of recovering crashed UAP and reverse engineering them.
We've been recovering spacecraft, alien spacecraft.
The United States has been involved in the recovery of objects, vehicles of unknown origin that are neither from our country or any other foreign country that we're aware of.
Alien bodies, biologics.
We as a nation have been interested in not only the vehicles themselves, but the occupants of these vehicles, to include biological specimens.
Aliens, non-human intelligences, are real, and they have been engaging with humanity.
Ross, we're not alone. We are not alone in this universe, and it is a simple fact. And the U.S. government has been aware of that fact now for decades.
Now, also included in the book Imminent is Luis Elizondo speaking not just about the UFOs, but the bodies. And who told him about the bodies? Hal Puthoff. We can safely assume probably that Hal Puthoff told him about the UFOs. So, here's an excerpt from the book of Hal Puthoff telling Luis Elizondo about deceased alien bodies from the Roswell UFO crash. I don't recall how my first UAP history lesson in a skiff with Hal began, but I remember Hal tossing off the most enticing one-liner I'd ever heard. Well, it all goes back to Roswell in 1947. Wait, Roswell was real? I asked. Hal looked at me, clearly weighing whether to bring me further into a circle of trust. Yes, Lou, it was real. You mean to tell me that a UAP actually crashed and we covered it up? That's exactly what happened, he replied. I went quiet and let his words sink in. Hal went on to tell me something else that truly blew my mind. 4 deceased, non-human bodies were in fact recovered from the 1947 Roswell crash. After processing that, I fired off a slew of questions. In head, out mouth. Have we recovered non-human bodies from other UAP crashes? He looked at me as if debating how to answer. It was clear to me he wasn't ready to tell me the answer. I was still the new guy. We'll tell you more soon enough, he said. Is every incoming president told the truth? No. And don't forget, Luis Elizondo said this a few years ago in an interview with GQ.
So look, I think we all want to know, do you think any government has recovered a crashed UAP?
So what I've said for the record, which is unfortunately all I can say, is that it is my belief that the United States is in possession of exotic material, and unfortunately, that's about all I can say at this time.
So there you have it, folks. It sounds like Hal Puthoff is the original source for Luis Elizondo's details about the Roswell crash in his book, right? Roswell is probably the most infamous UFO crash in history. So to have these kind of details out there is nice, right? What do you think? Do you believe it? You don't? Right? Is there evidence for this? You know, I don't know. There's a lot of details out here about this crash. So please leave your comments down below. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace!
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.